something is shifting, and you already feel it, not in a loud way, not with clear words or dramatic signs. It is quieter than that, stranger than that, a silence that feels heavy, a thought of someone that comes out of nowhere, a pressure in your chest when everything around you looks normal. Listen closely, because this is where most people miss the truth. The moment a person feels they are truly losing you, something breaks open inside them. They may stay silent. They may act distant. They may pretend nothing matters. But deep under that mask, panic begins to move. The energy changes first. The body feels it next. Then the soul can no longer hide from it. If you have been sensing that someone is waking up to your absence, stay with me, because what happens next could explain everything. This is not about fantasy. It is not about chasing signs just to feel better. It is about what happens when your energy pulls back and the person who once felt safe in your constant presence suddenly realizes you may not be there anymore. That realization hits hard. It shakes pride. It exposes fear. And it can push someone toward a move they never planned to make. Before this is over, you may understand why their silence has felt so loud, why your heart has been restless, and why the story is not as finished as it once seemed. And what I say next matters even more, because the shift did not start with them. It started with you. For a long time, your energy may have been moving toward this person without rest. You thought about them often. You wondered what they felt. You replayed moments. You searched for meaning in little things. Maybe you stayed emotionally available even when they gave you very little in return. Maybe part of you kept the door open, hoping they would one day walk through it with honesty. That kind of energy is powerful, but it also creates an imbalance. When one person keeps carrying the connection, the other person does not have to hold much at all. They get used to your presence. They trust your patience. They begin to believe, even without saying it, that you will still be there tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that too. But then something changed. Maybe slowly, maybe all at once. You got tired. You grew stronger. You started choosing your peace. You stopped trying to decode every silence. You stopped reaching so far outside yourself. And the moment you did that, the whole connection changed shape. This is where the real turning point begins. Because when you stop pouring energy into a one-sided bond, you do not kill it, you reveal it. You remove the noise, you clear the stage, and now the other person is left standing in a silence they can finally hear. Stay with this part, because this is where the truth gets uncomfortable. Your absence did not make them forget. Your absence made them feel. There is a difference between physical distance and emotional withdrawal, and that difference changes everything. Physical distance is simple. It means two people are not talking, not meeting, not sharing daily life. But emotional withdrawal is deeper. It happens when you stop looking for their approval. It happens when your heart no longer begs for crumbs. It happens when your focus returns to your own center and your energy stops feeding a pattern that kept them comfortable. That kind of silence is not empty. It has force. Before, they could lean against your consistency. Even if they were confused, guarded, or proud, they still felt your attention around them like a light left on in another room. But when that light begins to dim, they feel it immediately. Think of it like two people pulling on the same rope. If you are always pulling, they only need to resist. They do not need to move. They do not need to decide. They do not need to face themselves. But the second you let go, everything changes. Suddenly they lose balance. Suddenly there is no pressure to push against. Suddenly they are left with their own feelings, their own emptiness, their own questions. And that is where discomfort starts to grow. They begin to feel the cold space where your energy used to be. They wonder why things feel different. They notice that your attention is no longer guaranteed. And even if they cannot explain it out loud, something inside them knows the truth. You are no longer waiting in the same way, and that truth is powerful enough to wake up fear. What they are feeling now is not only fear of losing a person, it is fear of facing themselves without the old distractions. For a long time, they may have hidden behind logic, pride, delay, or emotional distance. They may have told themselves stories that made staying back feel easier. Maybe they called the connection too intense. Maybe they convinced themselves timing was wrong. Maybe they acted cold so they would not have to admit how deeply they were affected. But all those defenses only work when the pattern stays the same. Once you changed, the excuses started to crack. Now they cannot place all the discomfort on you. Now they cannot say your energy is the reason they feel pressure, because the pressure has followed them into silence. And in that silence, the shadow rises, the hidden fears, the old wounds, the part of them that wanted love but feared what love would ask of them. When someone runs from closeness, it usually is not because there is no feeling. Often it is because the feeling is too real, too exposing, too dangerous to the image they built of themselves. And now, with your energy no longer chasing, they are left sitting face to face with what they tried not to see. This is why the fear grows so strong. Because losing you does not feel like losing a random connection. It feels like losing something rare, something that touched the deepest part of them, something they may never find again. And once that thought lands fully, the inner battle begins. Keep listening, because this is the part where their mask starts slipping. From the outside, they may still look normal. They may go to work. They may talk to people. They may post online. They may even act calm. But inner storms rarely announce themselves in public. A person can look steady while everything inside them is shaking. That is what happens here. Their peace begins to break in small ways first. Sleep becomes restless. The quiet hours become heavier. They wake in the middle of the night with thoughts they did not invite. The mind, so strong during the day, weakens in those early morning hours, and then the truth gets louder. Your absence sits beside them. Your memory enters without asking permission. They remember moments they once brushed aside. They remember your softness, your loyalty, the way you made space for them. And what hurts most is not only missing you, it is realizing they may have understood your value too late. During the day, your image can return in flashes: a song, a street, a familiar phrase, a smell in the air. It takes almost nothing for the memory to come back and pull at something deep inside them. They may try to distract themselves, but some thoughts do not leave because they are not ordinary thoughts. They are unfinished emotional truths. This is why silence becomes painful. Because once a person begins to feel the weight of what they pushed away, ordinary life no longer feels ordinary. And the stronger they pretend to be on the outside, the more pressure often builds inside. In today's world, that pressure often shows up in quiet digital ways. They may not call. They may not send a long message. Pride usually blocks the most direct action first. So instead, they watch. They check your profile. They notice when you are active. They look at your photos longer than they should. They may revisit old messages just to feel close to the version of you they once had access to. They do not always leave obvious signs, because that would mean admitting too much. But watching becomes its own form of longing. They want proof that you are still there. They want to know if they still matter. They want to feel connected without risking rejection. Yet every silent check brings them deeper into their own discomfort. Because if they see you calm, healing, moving forward, it forces them to confront a terrifying possibility that your world is learning how to turn without them. And that is when the fear sharpens. It is one thing to believe someone loves you. It is another thing to realize they may no longer need you. That thought can become unbearable for a person who once relied on your emotional availability without truly honoring it. And while they try to stay hidden behind the screen, the emptiness keeps growing. They look for signs that you are still emotionally waiting. They hope to find some proof that nothing has really changed. But when they sense your new strength, your new stillness, your new distance, something inside them starts to panic. Because time no longer feels endless. For the first time, losing you feels real. And while all of this is building in them, you may start feeling things that do not seem to belong to you. Sudden sadness, sudden tension, a strange pull in your chest, a moment of fear that arrives without a clear reason. This is where the connection becomes harder to explain with ordinary words. Sometimes in a deep bond, emotions move across distance in ways the mind cannot measure, but the heart notices instantly. You may think you are finally calm, and then out of nowhere, a wave hits. A memory rises, their name appears somewhere random, a dream feels so vivid that it stays with you all day. These things can feel small when looked at one by one, but together they create a pattern. It is as if the connection is knocking from the invisible side. This does not mean you must lose yourself in signs. It means you should pay attention to your inner knowing. Because sometimes what you are sensing is not fantasy. It is movement. It is pressure building toward expression. It is the emotional storm of someone whose defenses are starting to fail, their fear, their regret, their longing. It all looks for a path. And when direct communication is blocked, energy often finds quieter ways to travel. You may feel them in dreams, in sudden warmth, in that strange certainty that something is about to happen. If this has been your experience, do not rush past it. Because what feels invisible now can become visible very fast. And just before that happens, there is often one last stage that confuses almost everyone. Right before someone breaks through emotionally, they often become even more confusing. Colder, more distant, more stubborn. This is the final defense of the ego. It is the last attempt to keep control when control is already slipping away. So if they suddenly pull back harder, act detached, or behave in a way that makes no sense, do not be too quick to read it as the end. Sometimes the strongest resistance shows up right before surrender. Think of a wave pulling back before it crashes forward. Think of a rubber band stretched to its furthest point before it snaps. The energy works like that too. The more real the feeling becomes, the more threatened the false self begins to feel. Admitting love means admitting vulnerability. Admitting vulnerability means dropping the mask. And for someone who has lived behind that mask for a long time, that moment can feel terrifying, so they may fight. Not because they feel nothing, but because they feel too much. They are not only resisting you, they are resisting the truth about themselves. They are trying to avoid the shame of realizing they misjudged the connection, wasted time, or let fear lead them. This stage can look harsh from the outside. It can make you question everything. But listen carefully. If you chase them now, you may restore their comfort and delay the lesson. If you stay grounded, the pressure keeps doing its work. And the louder they try to deny it on the surface, the louder the truth usually grows underneath. This is the test, not of your love, but of your self-respect. Eventually, a person cannot keep living in that split forever. The body gets tired, the mind gets tired, the performance gets tired. Acting like someone means nothing when they mean everything is exhausting. Pretending not to care when your whole inner world is restless creates a tension that wants release. So the wall begins to crack, not always in one dramatic moment, sometimes in private reflection, sometimes in regret, sometimes in a simple but painful realization that all the distractions they chose over honesty have left them empty. They start to look back at what happened with clearer eyes. They see where pride spoke louder than truth. They see where silence became damage. They see how your presence once offered something rare: safety, depth, understanding, warmth. And now, instead of feeling trapped by that, they begin to feel starved for it. This is the turning point. Fear stops pushing them away and starts pushing them forward. They no longer only ask, "Should I reach out?" Now the question becomes, how do I repair what I broke? How do I return without being rejected? How do I say what I should have said before? These questions can follow them for days. They rehearse conversations in their mind. They imagine your reaction. They go back and forth between courage and hesitation. But something important has changed. The direction of the energy is no longer away from you. It is toward you. And once that shift becomes strong enough, some form of action usually follows. Stay with me, because the next part is where the invisible begins turning physical. Before the direct message or conversation comes, there are often small movements, tiny openings, quiet tests. They may ask about you through someone else. They may appear in a place they know you visit. They may post something they know you will understand. They may send a light message that seems casual on the surface but carries much more underneath. Do not underestimate those small gestures. For a person who has been ruled by pride, even a minor step can cost a lot internally. They are not only reaching toward you, they are stepping away from the version of themselves that stayed hidden. At the same time, you may notice a change in your own energy. The restless need to check on them starts fading. The obsession with signs quiets down. You feel more settled, more neutral, maybe even a little detached. That does not mean the bond is dead. It often means the struggle phase is ending. The tug of war is over because you are no longer pulling. You are standing in your own space. And strangely, that calm becomes magnetic. When you stop needing an outcome, you become much harder to ignore. They can feel that. They sense that the old access is gone, that you are no longer waiting in the same way, and that realization creates urgency. If they do not act now, they may lose the chance entirely. This is what finally pushes many people through the last layer of fear. Not because they suddenly become fearless, but because losing you starts to feel more painful than being honest. And when that happens, the breakthrough gets close. When they finally reach out, it may come in a simple form. A short hello, a question that looks ordinary, a message about something small. But beneath it is weight. Beneath it is surrender. Beneath it is someone testing whether the bridge still exists. The words may not be perfect. They may not arrive with a full speech or instant clarity. Real emotion often enters more quietly than people expect, but you will feel the difference. The tone will be different. The energy will be different. There will be less performance, less control, less distance. Maybe not all at once, but enough for your intuition to notice. This moment matters, and how you meet it matters too. Because the whole shift happened when you chose yourself. That must not disappear the second they return. You do not need to rush. You do not need to over-explain. You do not need to fall back into old patterns just because their fear finally turned into action. Let them meet the new version of you, the calmer version, the clearer version, the version that knows love is not proven by suffering. If there is a real rebuilding to happen, it must happen on new ground, on respect, on truth, on effort that goes both ways. This is where the old story either repeats itself or transforms. And your self-respect is what decides the difference. So if this moment comes, receive it with open eyes, not empty hunger. Because the goal was never just to bring them back. The goal was to become someone who no longer abandons themselves in the process. As they move closer, another deep change begins inside them. They start to understand that they cannot return as the same person who walked away, shut down, or hid behind confusion. If they truly feel the value of what they almost lost, then part of them must change. This is why the delay often feels so long. It is not always just hesitation. Sometimes it is a painful inner shedding. Old pride has to crack. Old beliefs about love have to weaken. Old defense habits have to stop feeling safe. They begin to see that keeping emotional distance did not protect them. It isolated them. It made them lose warmth, closeness, and peace. Meanwhile, by choosing yourself, you have changed the power in the connection. You are no longer the person who can be taken for granted. You are no longer the one carrying everything. They now see your strength as clearly as they once saw your softness, and that combination affects them deeply. It attracts them, yes, but it also humbles them. Because now they know if they come back halfway, they may lose you for real. This is what gives the new energy its seriousness. They are not just missing comfort, they are recognizing value. They are not only reacting to absence, they are waking up to truth. And when a person reaches that point honestly, their actions become more grounded, less game playing, less mixed signals, more real, not perfect, but more real. And if you have felt recently that the air around this connection has become softer but stronger at the same time, that may be why. You may also notice that your intuition becomes sharper during this final stage. You stop begging life for proof because your heart already knows what your mind has been trying to confirm. There is a strange peace that comes when a cycle is about to close. You feel less desperate for answers. You stop needing constant reassurance. You may even find yourself happy in your own world in a way that once seemed impossible. That is not distance from love. That is freedom from emotional survival mode. And this freedom creates one of the strongest pulls there is. Because now, if they come toward you, it is not because you dragged them there. It is because they chose movement. They chose honesty. They chose to step toward what is real. This is also the stage where many people feel a sudden warmth in the heart, a calm after months of confusion, or a strong sense that something is near. It is as if the noise has burned out and only truth remains. You are no longer trying to force the next chapter. You are simply ready for whatever is true, and that readiness is powerful. It tells life, I will not chase what runs from me, but I will recognize what returns with truth. Hold on to that energy. Do not trade it for old anxiety, because whether the reunion becomes temporary, meaningful, or permanent, your greatest victory already happened. You came back to yourself. And that is why everything else has started to move. If they do return in a real way, the meeting will carry more than words. It will feel like pressure releasing after a long storm. A conversation that once seemed impossible may suddenly feel natural. There may be honesty where there used to be avoidance. There may be softness where there used to be walls. Not because the past disappears, but because both of you have been changed by the distance. They have learned what your absence feels like. You have learned what your own worth feels like. And those two lessons create the possibility of a different kind of connection, one built less on fantasy and more on truth. They may speak about regret. They may admit fear. They may reveal that they were more affected than they ever showed. Let them speak. Let the truth come fully into the room. But remember, healing is not made of words alone. It is built through consistency, accountability, patience, and clear actions over time. The new bond, if it is real, must be able to breathe in daylight. No masks, no hidden games, no one carrying the whole emotional weight alone. If that happens, then what nearly broke the connection may actually become the fire that reshaped it. Stronger, cleaner, more equal. And if you are hearing this at the exact moment your heart has been sensing movement, trust that your stillness was not wasted. Your silence taught them what your presence meant. Your self-respect changed the energy. Your healing created the mirror they could no longer avoid. And now, whatever comes next, you are not entering it empty. You are entering it whole,